Please, I'm begging you. I'll have the rest next week. I just need a few more days. Celeste's voice cracks as she stands in the doorway of her cramped apartment, blocking the landlord's view of the inside. Her heart hammers against her ribs so hard, she thinks it might burst through her chest. Behind her, she hears the faint cough of her sister Marianne, and the sound makes her spine stiffen with renewed desperation. You said that 2 weeks ago. Mr. Hendricks crosses his arms, his belly straining against a stained polo shirt. I got bills too, sweetheart. You're out by Friday, or I'm changing the locks. The word sweetheart drips with condescension, and Celeste feels her cheeks burn. She's 38 years old, working double shifts at Romano's diner, and she's being talked to like a child who hasn't done her homework. Her fingers grip the doorframe until her knuckles turn white. Please, my sister is sick. She can't be moved right now. Not my problem. He turns away, already walking down the dim hallway. Friday, Celeste. I mean it. She closes the door and leans against it, squeezing her eyes shut. The apartment is silent except for Marianne's labored breathing from the bedroom. $3,000. She needs $3,000 by Friday, and she has $462 in her bank account. The number haunts her, glowing in her mind like neon signs advertising her failure. The apartment is small, just 2 bedrooms with walls so thin she can hear the couple next door arguing about whose turn it is to buy milk. The carpet is beige and stained, worn down to the backing in the high-traffic areas, but it's home. It's where she brought Marianne after the hospital said there was nothing more they could do, where she's been caring for her younger sister through the mysterious illness that's been consuming her for 6 months now. The doctors called it unexplained anemia, but Celeste has seen the strange bruising, the way Marianne sometimes flinches from sunlight, the odd dreams she describes in her lucid moments. Was that Hendricks? Marianne's voice drifts from the bedroom, weak and thready. Don't worry about it. Celeste pushes off the door and pastes on a smile before walking into the bedroom. How are you feeling? Marianne lies in the bed, propped up on pillows that Celeste fluffs twice daily. She's only 34, but she looks ancient right now, her skin almost translucent. Dark circles under her eyes that no amount of sleep can erase. Her auburn hair, once thick and glossy, lies limp across the pillow. But she manages a smile, and in that smile, Celeste can see the girl who used to dance in their mother's kitchen, who used to laugh so hard she'd snort. You're a terrible liar, Marianne says. Always have been. Celeste sits on the edge of the bed and takes her sister's hand. It's cold, always so cold now, despite the 3 blankets piled on top of her. I'm going to figure it out. I always do. Maybe you should call Dad. Absolutely not. The words come out sharper than Celeste intends. Their father walked out when Celeste was 16 and Marianne was 12, started a whole new family in Nevada, and the last time Celeste called him, 5 years ago, he'd answered the phone like she was a telemarketer. We don't need him. We've never needed him. Marianne closes her eyes. I'm tired, Cel. Then sleep. Celeste squeezes her hand gently. I've got the late shift tonight, but Mrs. Chen from downstairs is going to check on you. I left her a key. You work too much. I work exactly the right amount. Celeste stands, tucking the blankets more snugly around her sister. Get some rest. I'll bring you some of Romano's chicken soup. You love that. I can't keep anything down. You'll keep this down. I'll make sure they put extra crackers on the side. It's a lie, a small and necessary one, because they both know Marianne can barely eat anything anymore. But Marianne nods anyway, playing along with the fiction that everything will be fine, that this is just a rough patch and not something far more sinister. Celeste leaves for her shift at 4:30, taking 2 buses to get to Romano's because her car died 3 months ago, and she can't afford to fix it. The evening air is crisp, autumn settling over the city like a blanket. She watches the sky turn from blue to purple to black as the bus rumbles through the streets, carrying her toward another 6 hours of forced smiles and aching feet. Romano's is busy when she arrives, the dinner rush in full swing. The restaurant is a mid-tier Italian place with checkered tablecloths and candles stuck in wine bottles, trying very hard to be authentic and almost succeeding. The smell of garlic and tomato sauce hits her as soon as she walks through the door, and her stomach growls. She skipped lunch again. "You're late," Tony Romano calls from behind the bar. He's not actually angry. His voice carries more resignation than irritation. He's owned this place for 20 years, and he's seen dozens of waitresses come and go. Celeste has been here for 8 years, long enough to be considered furniture. Bus ran late. Sorry. She ties her apron around her waist and grabs her order pad. "Where do you need me?" Section 3. Denise called in sick again. Of course she did. Denise calls in sick every other Thursday, which everyone knows is code for "I have a date," but no one says anything because they all need this job, and covering for each other is an unspoken pact. The next 4 hours blur together in a familiar rhythm. Take orders, deliver food, clear plates, smile even when the customers are rude, smile even when they snap their fingers at her like she's a dog, smile even when they leave a $3 tip on a $70 bill. Her feet throb, her back aches. She keeps smiling. At 8:30, a man walks in and sits in her section. Celeste notices him immediately because everyone does. He's the kind of man who commands attention without trying, who seems to bend the light around him. He's tall, she can tell that, even though he's sitting, with broad shoulders under a black suit that probably costs more than her rent. His hair is dark, almost black, pushed back from his face in a way that looks both careless and intentional. His face is all sharp angles, high cheekbones, and a strong jaw, with eyes so pale blue they're almost silver. He's also staring directly at her. Celeste feels the weight of his gaze like a physical touch, and for a moment she freezes with a pot of coffee in her hand, halfway to another table. Then she shakes it off because she doesn't have time for this, for whatever this is. She delivers the coffee, takes 2 more orders, and finally makes her way to his table. "Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink?" The words are automatic, scripted from 8 years of repetition. "Water." His voice is deep and smooth, with the faintest accent she can't quite place. European, maybe. "And a moment of your time." Her professional smile wavers. "I'm sorry?" "Your name is Celeste." It's not a question. He knows somehow. A chill runs down her spine. "Do I know you?" "No, but I know you." He leans back in his chair, studying her with those unsettling pale eyes. "Or rather, I know of you. Your sister is Marianne." The coffee pot nearly slips from her hand. "How do you know that?" "Sit down, please." He gestures to the empty chair across from him. "I'm working." "This is important. It concerns your sister's health." The restaurant seems to fade away, all the noise and bustle becoming distant static. Celeste glances around. Tony is busy with the bar. No one is watching. She slides into the chair, perching on the edge, ready to bolt. "Who are you?" "My name is Soren Draconis." He says it like she should recognize it, and when she doesn't react, something flickers across his face. Surprise, maybe? Or amusement. "I'm here to help your sister." "Are you a doctor?" "No." "Then what are you?" He tilts his head slightly, considering her. In the candlelight, his features seem even more pronounced, beautiful in a way that's almost inhuman. That's a complicated question with a complicated answer. But the simple truth is this. Your sister is dying because she was bitten by one of my kind, and the venom was not properly administered. She's caught between 2 states, human and vampire, and it's tearing her body apart. Celeste stares at him. Then she stands up. "I don't have time for this." His hand shoots out, catching her wrist. His grip is gentle but unmovable, like being held by a steel band wrapped in silk. "You asked for the truth. I gave it to you. Vampires aren't real." But even as she says it, she's thinking about the bruising, the photosensitivity, the way Marianne sometimes talks about craving things she can't name. You don't believe that. If you did, you would have walked away already. He releases her wrist. "Sit down. Let me explain." She should walk away. She should go back to the kitchen and tell Tony there's a crazy person in Section 3. She should call security, or the police, or someone. Instead, she sits down. Soren folds his hands on the table. 3 months ago, your sister was attacked by a vampire. A young one, recently turned with no control and no supervision. He bit her, injected venom, and then fled when he realized what he'd done. The transformation requires sustained exposure to the venom, or a complete draining and exchange of blood. She received neither. She's trapped in limbo, and without intervention, she'll be dead within a week. Celeste's throat is tight. This is insane. Is it? You've watched her declining. You've seen the symptoms. The doctors can't help her because they don't understand what she is. And you can help her? The question comes out desperate, and she hates herself for it, for the hope blooming in her chest, even though this is clearly the ramblings of a lunatic. I can complete the transformation, or I can reverse it, purge the venom from her system. Either way, she'll live. He pauses. But there's a complication. Of course there is. What? The vampire who attacked her is part of a rogue nest that's been operating in this city without sanction. They're breaking our laws, turning humans indiscriminately, leaving a trail of bodies and half-turned victims. I've been hunting them for 3 weeks. His eyes lock onto hers. And tonight, they found out I'm close. They've decided to use your sister as bait. The restaurant suddenly feels too hot, too bright. What are you talking about? They're going to come for her tonight. They'll finish what was started, turn her fully, and use her to draw me out. Or they'll kill her to send a message. He leans forward, his expression intense. I followed you here because I've been watching your apartment. They're circling it right now, waiting for their moment. Celeste's hands are shaking. She clasps them together under the table. You're telling me that my sister is in danger right now. Yes. And you're just sitting here? I'm sitting here because I needed to warn you first. If you run to her, they'll take you both. If you call the police, they'll arrive to a bloodbath. His voice drops lower. But if you trust me, if you let me handle this, I can save her. And I can keep you safe. Trust him. Trust this stranger who claims to be a vampire, who's spinning an impossible story about creatures of the night and rogue nests. It's absurd. It's crazy. But Marianne is dying, and the doctors have no answers, and this man knows things he shouldn't know. Celeste meets his gaze. What do you need me to do? Something flashes in his eyes. Approval, maybe. First, we leave here together. You're going to tell your boss you have an emergency. Then we're going to go back to your apartment, and you're going to act normally while I deal with the threat. Can you do that? Act normally while you, fight vampires in my living room? Ideally, it won't come to a fight. But yes, essentially. She should say no. Every rational bone in her body is screaming that this is a mistake, that she should run the other direction, that this man is dangerous. But the irrational part, the part that's been watching her sister fade away day by day, that part is louder. Okay, she whispers. They leave together. Tony barely glances up when Celeste tells him there's a family emergency, just waves her away and mutters about finding coverage. Outside, the night air is cold and sharp, clearing some of the fog from her head. Soren walks beside her, his stride long and confident, and she has to hurry to keep up. I need to take the bus, she says. No, we'll take my car. He gestures to a sleek black vehicle parked at the curb. It's expensive, the kind of car she's only ever seen in movies, all smooth lines and tinted windows. Of course you have a car like that, she mutters. His mouth quirks up at the corner. I'm 300 years old. I've had time to accumulate nice things. 300 years old. Right. She's absolutely lost her mind. But she gets in the car, and the interior smells like leather and something else. Something dark and spicy that makes her think of old libraries and older secrets. Soren drives fast but smoothly, navigating the city streets with the ease of someone who knows them well. Why are you helping us? Celeste asks. The question has been burning in her mind since he first sat down in her section. You don't know me. You don't know Marianne. What do you get out of this? He's silent for a moment, his eyes fixed on the road. I'm the vampire king of the Eastern Territories. It's my responsibility to enforce our laws, to prevent exactly the kind of chaos that has harmed your sister. The rogues who did this to her have killed 6 humans in the past month. They're drawing attention, threatening exposure. They need to be stopped. So this is about protecting your secret. Partially. He glances at her. But I also don't allow innocence to suffer when I can prevent it. Your sister didn't choose this. She deserves better. The car pulls up outside her apartment building. It looks shabbier than ever in the glow of the streetlights, the brick facade crumbling, graffiti tagged across the front entrance. Celeste suddenly feels embarrassed, though she's not sure why. She's worked hard for this life, meager as it is. They're here, Soren says quietly. 2 of them. On the fire escape outside your unit. She looks up and sees nothing but shadows. I don't see anyone. You wouldn't. He turns off the engine. Go inside, check on your sister. I'll handle this. Wait. She grabs his arm without thinking, and the contact sends a jolt through her. His skin is cool through the fabric of his suit. If you're wrong, if this is all some elaborate scam or delusion, I'm going to the police. If I'm wrong, he says calmly, I'll drive you to the station myself. They go inside together. The building is quiet, most residents already settled in for the night. Celeste's hands shake as she unlocks her apartment door, half expecting to find it ransacked, or worse, to find Marianne gone. But the apartment looks exactly as she left it, shabby and cramped and blessedly normal. Marianne? She calls out, heading for the bedroom. Her sister is awake, propped up on her pillows, and she looks more alert than she has in days. Cel, you're home early. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. I just wanted to check on you. Celeste sits on the edge of the bed, searching Marianne's face. How are you feeling? Weird. Marianne frowns. I had the strangest dream. There were people outside the window, watching me. It felt so real. Celeste's blood runs cold. It was just a dream. Behind her, she hears a sound from the living room. A crash, like glass breaking. Then a thud, heavy and final. Then silence. What was that? Marianne tries to sit up. Stay here. Celeste stands on shaking legs. I'll go check. She walks back to the living room, heart hammering. The window is open, the curtain billowing in the breeze. Soren stands in the center of the room, his suit immaculate, not a hair out of place. At his feet are 2 bodies. They're young, probably early 20s, a man and a woman with pale skin and dark veins visible beneath the surface. Their eyes are open, staring at nothing. They're not breathing. Are they dead? Celeste whispers. Yes. Soren's voice is flat, emotionless. They were too far gone. There was no bringing them back to sanity. You killed them. I did. He looks at her, and in his eyes, she sees something ancient and powerful and utterly inhuman. And I would do it again. They would have killed your sister, and you, and countless others. Don't mourn them. She should be horrified. She should be screaming, calling the police, running for her life. But all she feels is a strange, numb relief, because Marianne is safe, because this nightmare creature just saved her sister's life. What do we do with... She gestures helplessly at the bodies. I'll handle it. They'll disappear, and no one will ever find them. He steps closer to her. But first, I need to see your sister. I need to assess her condition and determine the best course of action. Celeste leads him to the bedroom, feeling like she's in a dream. Marianne's eyes widen when she sees Soren, and something passes between them, a recognition that Celeste doesn't understand. You're one of them, Marianne breathes. Soren inclines his head. I am, and you're halfway there yourself. He sits in the chair beside the bed, his movements graceful. Tell me what you remember about the attack. Marianne's voice is halting at first, then stronger as the memories come. She was walking home from the grocery store. It was late, later than she should have been out. A man approached her, young and handsome, asking for directions. She stopped to help. He grabbed her, pulled her into an alley, and bit her neck before she could scream. The pain was excruciating, but then it faded to something else, something almost pleasurable. He drank and drank, and she felt herself fading. Then he stopped suddenly, swore, and ran away. She stumbled home and collapsed, and when she woke up, everything had changed. Soren listens without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When she finishes, he nods slowly. The vampire who attacked you was newly turned himself, probably no more than a year old. He panicked when he realized what he was doing and fled before completing the process. You've been poisoned, essentially. The venom is in your system, trying to change you, but it's not enough to finish the job. You're caught between states. Can you help her? Celeste asks. I can. There are 2 options. He looks at Marianne. I can complete the transformation. Give you enough venom to finish what was started. You would become a full vampire. You would be immortal, powerful, but you would need blood to survive, and you would never see another sunrise. Or I can purge the venom from your system. It would be painful, and it would take several days, but you would return to being fully human. The choice is yours. Marianne looks at Celeste, then back at Soren. If I become human again, will I remember any of this? Some of it. It will fade over time, become more like a dream than a memory. And if I become a vampire, you'll remember everything, and you'll need guidance, training, someone to teach you how to control the bloodlust. It's not an easy existence. Celeste grabs her sister's hand. Mari, you don't have to decide this now. Yes, I do. Marianne's voice is surprisingly steady. I've been dying for months, Selly. I felt myself slipping away piece by piece. If I go back to being human, I'll always know how close I came to death. I'll always be afraid. She looks at Soren. If I become a vampire, what happens? Where would I go? What would I do? You would come with me. I would take responsibility for you, train you, introduce you to our society. You would be under my protection. His eyes flick to Celeste. Both of you would be. Wait, Celeste says. Both of us? You're her sister. You've cared for her through this ordeal. You've sacrificed everything for her. Soren's gaze is intense. And more than that, you're important to her. She'll need you, especially in the beginning. I'm offering you both a place in my household. Celeste's head is spinning. Your household. I have an estate outside the city. It's secure, comfortable. You would want for nothing. Your debts would be paid. You would never have to work at that diner again. Never have to worry about rent or bills or how to afford your next meal. In exchange, you would help your sister through her transition, and you would... He pauses, seeming to choose his words carefully. You would allow me to court you. The room goes silent. Even Marianne stops breathing for a moment. Court me? Celeste repeats faintly. Yes. Soren leans back in his chair, looking far too composed for someone who just casually suggested dating. I've lived a very long time, Celeste. I've met thousands of people, human and vampire alike. Very few of them have impressed me. You do. Your strength, your loyalty, your fierce determination to protect your sister despite impossible odds. These are qualities I admire. I would like the opportunity to know you better. You can't be serious. I'm always serious. The corner of his mouth twitches. One of my more annoying qualities, I'm told. Celeste looks at Marianne, who has a tiny smile on her face despite everything. This is insane, Celeste says to her. Tell me this is insane. It's definitely insane, Marianne agrees. But Cel, when was the last time anything good happened to us? When was the last time someone offered to help without expecting us to destroy ourselves in return? He's a vampire. I'm about to be a vampire too. He's a stranger. So was everyone once. Marianne squeezes her hand. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to become a vampire. I want to live, really live, not just survive. But I won't do it without you. So please, Cel, say yes. Celeste looks at Soren, really looks at him. His pale eyes watch her with an intensity that should be frightening, but instead feels like being seen, truly seen. maybe for the first time in her life. He's offering them a way out of the crushing poverty, the endless struggle, the constant fear of the next disaster. He's offering her sister life. And he's offering her, what? Romance? Partnership? Something else entirely? If I say yes, she begins slowly, and things don't work out between us. Romantically, I mean, what happens to Marianne? To me? Marianne would still be under my protection. That's not conditional on anything. She's my responsibility now. He stands, moving closer to Celeste. He's tall. She has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. As for you, if you decided you wanted to leave, I would provide you with resources to start a new life. I'm not a monster, Celeste, despite what the stories say. I don't keep people prisoner. Just to be clear, Celeste says, you killed 2 people in my living room about 5 minutes ago. I killed 2 rogues who were planning to murder your sister. There's a difference. He's right, and she hates that he's right. She's also acutely aware of how close he's standing, how she can smell that dark, spicy scent that clings to him, how her heart is racing for reasons that have nothing to do with fear. Okay, she whispers. Okay, yes, we'll come with you. Soren's expression transforms. The stern, cold mask cracks, and underneath is something warm and almost vulnerable. You won't regret this. I'm already regretting it, she mutters, but there's no heat in the words. He turns to Marianne. The transformation should be done soon. Tonight, if you're ready. The longer we wait, the more you deteriorate. Marianne nods. I'm ready. What follows is unlike anything Celeste has ever witnessed. Soren sits on the edge of the bed and bites his own wrist, his fangs extending with a faint click. Blood wells up, dark and viscous, and he holds it to Marianne's lips. Drink, he says gently. Drink until I tell you to stop. Marianne drinks. Her eyes close, and a shudder runs through her body. Celeste watches in horrified fascination as color begins to return to her sister's cheeks, as the dark circles under her eyes start to fade. After what feels like an eternity, but is probably only a few minutes, Soren pulls his wrist away. The wound closes instantly, the skin knitting together as if it was never broken. Sleep now, Soren tells Marianne. Your body needs to complete the change. When you wake, you'll be different. Marianne's eyes are already drooping. Will it hurt? Some, but I'll be here, and so will your sister. You won't be alone. She falls asleep within seconds, her breathing deep and even. Celeste sits beside her, holding her hand, afraid to let go. She'll be fine, Soren says quietly. The transformation takes about 12 hours. By morning, she'll wake as a full vampire. And then we go to my estate, and her new life begins. He glances toward the living room. I need to dispose of the bodies. Will you be all right here alone for a few minutes? Do I have a choice? Not really. She almost laughs. The absurdity of the situation is starting to hit her. 12 hours ago, her biggest problem was coming up with rent money. Now she's in a room with a vampire king who just killed 2 people and is courting her sister, who's turning into a vampire herself. Soren disappears into the living room, and Celeste hears muted sounds, rustling and movement. She doesn't look. She doesn't want to know the details. Instead, she focuses on Marianne, on the steady rise and fall of her chest, on the peaceful expression on her face. We're going to be okay, Celeste whispers, not sure if she's talking to her sister or herself. We're going to be okay. Soren returns 20 minutes later. The living room is spotless, the window closed, no sign that anything unusual ever happened. He's even cleaned up the broken glass. Done, he says simply. Where did you put them? It's better if you don't know, but they won't be found. She should be more disturbed by this. She should be questioning his morality, her own morality. But all she feels is tired, bone-deep exhausted in a way she hasn't felt in months. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving her shaky and hollow. You should rest, Soren says. It's been a difficult night. I can't leave her. Then I'll stay with you, both of you. They settle into a strange vigil. Celeste pulls a chair next to the bed, never letting go of Marianne's hand. Soren stands by the window, looking out at the city, silent and watchful. The hours crawl by. Midnight passes. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Celeste's eyes are gritty with exhaustion, but she can't sleep. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees those bodies on her living room floor. "Tell me about your estate," she says suddenly, needing to fill the silence. Soren turns from the window. "It's in the countryside, about an hour from here. Built in the 1800s, though I've modernized it over the years. 15 bedrooms, a library, extensive grounds. Private, secure. 15 bedrooms seems excessive. I occasionally host members of my court, and I value my space." He moves closer, taking the other chair. "There's a garden. Your sister might enjoy it. The night-blooming flowers are quite beautiful." "Night-blooming," Celeste repeats, "because she won't be able to see the day ones. The sun won't kill her, not instantly, but it will hurt, especially in the beginning. She'll learn to move during the day if she must, with proper protection, but she'll prefer the night." "What about blood? You said she'll need blood." "She will. I'll teach her to feed without killing, how to take only what she needs. There are also synthetic options, though they're not as satisfying. We have suppliers, humans who donate willingly in exchange for payment or other benefits. She won't have to hunt if she doesn't want to." The casual way he talks about drinking human blood should be horrifying. Instead, Celeste finds herself genuinely curious. "Do you kill when you feed?" "Not anymore. I did in the beginning. I was turned in 1723, and the vampire who created me was cruel. He taught me that humans were nothing more than food, that their lives were meaningless. It took me a century to unlearn those lessons, to understand that immortality doesn't excuse monstrousness." His pale eyes find hers. "I've spent the last 100 years trying to atone for my early sins, protecting humans instead of hunting them, enforcing laws that prevent the kind of chaos that destroyed my first life." "Your first life?" "I was human once, a long time ago. I barely remember it now, but I remember the fear. I remember being prey." He's quiet for a moment. "I don't ever want your sister to feel that fear. Or you." The sincerity in his voice catches her off guard. This isn't the confident vampire king speaking, the one who killed without hesitation and commanded with absolute authority. This is someone older, someone who's carried the weight of centuries and learned compassion from it. "Why me?" Celeste asks. "Really, there must be hundreds of women you could court, women who are younger or prettier or already part of your world. Why a broke waitress from a crappy apartment?" Soren leans forward, elbows on his knees, bringing him closer to her. "Do you know what I see when I look at you?" She shakes her head, not trusting her voice. "I see someone who's been fighting her entire life and hasn't given up. I see someone who works 2 shifts to pay for her sister's care, who sleeps 4 hours a night because that's all she can spare, who stands up to her landlord even though she's terrified. I see strength that isn't loud or flashy, but it's real. It's the kind of strength that lasts." He reaches out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and brushes a strand of hair from her face. His fingers are cool against her skin. "You're not a broke waitress, Celeste. You're a warrior who happens to work at a diner." Her eyes sting with sudden tears. No one has ever talked to her like this, like she matters, like her struggles are something to be admired rather than pitied. "I don't feel like a warrior." "Warriors rarely do. That's what makes them warriors." He lets his hand drop. "I've lived a long time. I've been alone for most of it. I've had companions, lovers, allies, but never someone who made me want to be better than I am. When I found you, when I started researching your situation to understand how to help your sister, I saw something I haven't seen in centuries. I saw home." The word hangs in the air between them, fragile and enormous. Celeste swallows hard. "You barely know me." "I know enough, and I'd like to know more, if you'll let me." She should say no. This is too fast, too intense, too impossible. But when has her life ever made sense? When has she ever had the luxury of playing it safe? Okay, she whispers. Okay. The smile that crosses his face is devastating, transforming him from beautiful to radiant. Thank you. They sit in companionable silence after that, waiting for dawn. At some point, Celeste's head droops, exhaustion finally winning, and she jerks awake to find herself leaning against Soren's shoulder. He's cool and solid beneath her cheek, and he doesn't move, letting her rest. Sorry, she mumbles, sitting up. Don't be. His voice is soft. You needed to sleep. What time is it? Nearly 6. The sun will rise soon. He looks at Marianne. She should wake in the next hour or two. As if on cue, Marianne stirs. Her eyes flutter open, and for a moment she looks confused. Then awareness floods back, and she gasps. Cell? I'm here. Celeste grabs her hand. I'm right here. How do you feel? Marianne sits up slowly, testing her body. I feel different. Everything is so clear. I can hear the couple 3 floors down arguing about coffee. I can smell the garbage in the alley and the roses in Mrs. Chen's apartment, and she focuses on Celeste. I can hear your heartbeat. That's normal, Soren says. Your senses are heightened now. It will be overwhelming at first, but you'll learn to filter it. Marianne looks at him, and something passes between them again. That recognition. I can feel it. The connection. You made me. I did, which makes me responsible for you in the eyes of our society. I'll teach you what you need to know. I'm hungry. Marianne's voice is small. Really hungry. Also normal. We'll get you fed once we reach the estate. Soren stands. Can you walk? Marianne swings her legs out of bed and stands. She's steady, stronger than she's been in months. Yes, I can walk. Then we should go. I have a car waiting downstairs. It's surreal, packing up the apartment. Celeste throws clothes into a duffel bag, grabs a few photos from the dresser, and that's it. Everything else, all the accumulated debris of her life here, she leaves behind. Marianne moves through the space like a ghost, touching things gently as if saying goodbye. I hated this place, she says softly, but it was ours. We'll make the next place ours too, Celeste promises. They leave as the sun is starting to rise, golden light creeping over the horizon. Marianne flinches away from it, and Soren quickly drapes his jacket over her, the fabric thick enough to shield her. It won't hurt you badly this early, he says, but it's better to be cautious. The car is indeed waiting, with a driver who doesn't even blink at the sight of them. They slide into the back seat, Marianne in the middle, Celeste and Soren on either side of her. The car pulls away from the curb, and Celeste watches her apartment building recede in the rearview mirror, getting smaller and smaller until it disappears. No going back now, she murmurs. Would you want to? Soren asks. She thinks about the endless shifts, the mounting bills, the constant fear and exhaustion. She thinks about Marianne wasting away in that bedroom, and her own helplessness to stop it. No, she says. I wouldn't. The drive takes just over an hour, the city gradually giving way to suburbs and then countryside. The estate, when they reach it, is breathtaking. It sits on a hillside, surrounded by ancient trees and high stone walls. The house itself is massive, built of gray stone with tall windows and ivy climbing the walls. It looks like something out of a Gothic novel, beautiful and slightly ominous. Home, Soren says simply. A woman meets them at the door, middle-aged and efficient-looking, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. This is Mrs. Thorne, Soren introduces. She manages the household. Mrs. Thorne, this is Celeste and Marianne. They'll be staying with us indefinitely. Welcome, Mrs. Thorne says warmly. I've prepared rooms for you both. I'm sure you're exhausted. She's human, Celeste realizes with a start. Soren has a human woman managing his vampire household. It's strangely reassuring. Mrs. Thorne leads them through halls that could swallow Celeste's entire apartment, past rooms filled with beautiful furniture and artwork that's probably worth more than she'll make in her lifetime. She shows Marianne to a bedroom on the second floor with heavy curtains that block out all light and a four-poster bed that looks like it belongs to royalty. "I know you're hungry," Soren says to Marianne. "I'll bring you something to eat shortly. First blood is important. It sets the tone for your control." Marianne nods, looking nervous but determined. "Thank you for everything. Thank your sister. She's the one who trusted me." He glances at Celeste. "Come. I'll show you to your room." Her room is down the hall from Marianne's, equally spacious, with large windows that look out over the gardens. The bed is enormous, piled with soft pillows and blankets. There's a sitting area with a fireplace, a closet that could fit her entire wardrobe 10 times over, and an adjoining bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. "It's too much," Celeste says faintly. "It's yours." Soren stands in the doorway, giving her space. "I'll have Mrs. Thorne bring you some clothes until we can take you shopping. Rest today. Recover. Tomorrow we'll start figuring out the rest of your life." "What about Marianne's first feeding?" "I'll handle it. You don't need to see that yet." She's grateful for that. She's exhausted, emotionally wrung out, and the thought of watching her sister drink blood is more than she can handle right now. "Soren?" He pauses. "Yes?" "Thank you." The words are inadequate, too small for what he's done, but they're all she has. His smile is gentle. "Thank you for trusting me. Sleep, Celeste. You're safe here." He closes the door, and she's alone. The silence is profound, so different from her apartment where she could always hear neighbors through the walls. She sits on the edge of the bed, feeling the expensive mattress give beneath her, and tries to process everything that's happened in the last 12 hours. Her sister is a vampire. She's living in a mansion with the vampire king of the Eastern Territories. Said vampire king is courting her, apparently, with the ultimate old-fashioned intensity. It's insane. It's impossible. It's her life now. Celeste lies back on the bed, sinking into the pillows, and closes her eyes. Sleep claims her almost instantly, pulling her down into darkness where vampires and kings and impossible choices can't follow. She wakes to afternoon light filtering through the curtains and the smell of food. Real food, the kind that comes from a kitchen that knows what it's doing. Her stomach growls, reminding her that she hasn't eaten since lunch yesterday. She stumbles to the door and finds a tray on a small table just outside, covered with silver domes like in fancy hotels. Underneath is a feast. Scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, fresh fruit, orange juice, and coffee that smells like heaven. There's also a note in elegant handwriting. "Thought you might be hungry. Take your time. No rush. S." She carries the tray inside and eats at the small table by the window, looking out over the gardens. They're beautiful, full of flowers and winding paths, and in the distance she can see what looks like a maze made of hedges. It's the kind of place she's only ever seen in movies. There's a knock on the door. "Come in," she calls. Mrs. Thorne enters, carrying what looks like a mountain of clothes. "Good afternoon, dear. I hope you slept well. I took the liberty of gathering some things for you. They should fit, but if they don't, we'll get you sorted." The clothes are nicer than anything Celeste has ever owned. Soft sweaters, well-fitted jeans, a few dresses that look both comfortable and elegant. "This is too much," she protests. "Nonsense. You're a guest here. You should be comfortable." Mrs. Thorne's smile is warm. "His Majesty also asked me to tell you that your sister is doing well. She fed successfully and is resting. He thought you might want to see her when you're ready." "I am. Ready, I mean." Mrs. Thorne leads her back to Marianne's room. Her sister is sitting in a chair by the window, the curtains drawn tight, reading a book. She looks up when Celeste enters, and her smile is radiant. "Cel, you're awake!" Celeste rushes over and hugs her. Marianne hugs back, and there's a strength in her arms that wasn't there before, a vitality that had been missing for so long. "How are you feeling?" "Amazing. Like I could run a marathon, or lift a car, or..." Marianne laughs. "I know this sounds crazy, but I feel more alive than I did when I was actually alive." "You fed?" "Yeah. Soren brought me a volunteer, someone who donates regularly. It was weird, but not as weird as I expected. And afterward, everything just clicked into place. I can think clearly again. I can feel my body responding the way it should. I didn't realize how sick I was until I wasn't anymore. Relief washes over Celeste, so intense it makes her dizzy. I'm so glad. They talk for hours, about everything and nothing, about the transformation, about the house, about their plans. Marianne is full of questions about being a vampire, and Celeste doesn't have answers, but they speculate together like they used to when they were kids, making up stories about their future. As evening approaches, there's another knock on the door. Soren enters, looking immaculate in dark slacks and a charcoal sweater that makes his eyes even more striking. I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, Marianne says. We were just talking. Good. I'm glad to see you both settling in. He looks at Celeste. I wondered if you'd like to take a walk in the gardens. It's a beautiful evening. It's clearly an invitation meant for her alone. Marianne gives her a not-so-subtle, encouraging look. Go. I'm going to read more. This book on vampire history is fascinating. So Celeste finds herself walking through the gardens at twilight, with a vampire king at her side. The air is cool and smells like roses and jasmine. The paths wind through flower beds and under trellises draped with vines. It's like stepping into a fairy tale. This is beautiful, she says. I'm glad you like it. I spend a lot of time here. It's peaceful. He's quiet for a moment. How are you, really? This has been an upheaval. I'm okay. Overwhelmed, but okay. She glances at him. What happens now? Now you both start your new lives. Marianne will train with me, learn control in history and politics. She'll be introduced to vampire society, given a position in my court if she wants it. As for you, he stops walking, turning to face her. What do you want, Celeste? If you could have anything, what would it be? The question catches her off guard. No one has ever asked her that. I don't know. I've spent so long just surviving. I haven't thought about what comes after. Think about it now. She looks around the gardens, at the house in the distance, at the man standing before her who's offering her the world. I want to not be afraid anymore. I want to wake up in the morning without immediately calculating how many hours I need to work to keep the lights on. I want to help my sister, and I want, she pauses, feeling vulnerable. I want to be seen. Really seen. Not just as a waitress or a poor relation, or someone to be pitied. I want to matter. You matter, Soren says quietly. You have always mattered. The world was simply too blind to notice. He steps closer, and her breath catches. He's giving her space, not crowding her, but his presence is overwhelming in the best way. I meant what I said last night. I want to court you, properly. Not because I saved your sister, not because you're living in my house, but because I'm drawn to you in a way I haven't been drawn to anyone in a very, very long time. I don't know how to do this, she admits. I haven't dated in years, and you're a king. I'm a man, he says. A very old one with a complicated past, but still just a man who finds you captivating. What if this doesn't work? What if we try and I'm not what you think I am? Then we'll deal with it, but I think you're underestimating yourself. He reaches out slowly, taking her hand. His skin is cool, but not unpleasantly so. Give me a chance. Give us a chance. His thumb traces circles on the back of her hand, and the simple touch sends warmth spreading through her. She thinks about her old life, the endless grind and fear. She thinks about this new life, full of impossible things and unexpected possibilities. Okay, she whispers. Let's try. The smile he gives her is brighter than the stars starting to appear overhead. He lifts her hand to his lips and kisses it, a gesture so old-fashioned and romantic it makes her heart stutter. Thank you. They walk through the gardens until full dark, talking about everything and nothing. He tells her about the estate's history, about the vampires who live in the city under his protection, about the careful balance between their world and the human one. She tells him about her childhood, about raising Marianne after their mother died, about her dreams of someday going to college, even though it always seemed impossible. It's not impossible anymore, he says. If you want to study, I'll make it happen. If you want to work, I'll support you. If you want to do nothing but read books in the library for the next year, that's fine too. Your life is yours, Celeste. I'm just hoping you'll let me be part of it. It's almost too much to believe. But the sincerity in his voice, the way he looks at her like she's precious, makes her want to try. The next few weeks pass in a blur of adjustment. Marianne throws herself into her training with fierce determination, learning to control her new strength and senses. Celeste watches her sister flourish, becoming confident and powerful in ways she never was as a human. It's beautiful to see. As for Celeste, she explores the estate, gets to know Mrs. Thorne and the other staff, and slowly starts to believe that this is real, that she's allowed to have this life. And she spends time with Soren. He courts her with old-world courtesy and modern understanding. They have dinner together most evenings, talking for hours about everything under the sun. He takes her into the city, to museums and theaters and restaurants she could never have afforded. He introduces her to books from his extensive library, recommends pieces that he thinks she'll love, and he's always right. He doesn't push. He doesn't demand. He simply makes space for her in his life and waits for her to step into it. One evening, about a month after they arrived at the estate, they're sitting in the library. There's a fire crackling in the fireplace, and Celeste is curled up in a leather chair with a book while Soren works through correspondence at the desk. It's domestic and comfortable, and she realizes with a start that she's happy. "Soren?" she says. He looks up immediately. "Yes?" "When you said you wanted to court me, what exactly does that mean? For a vampire, I mean." He sets down his pen, giving her his full attention. "It means I'm declaring my intention to bond with you, if you'll have me. To make you my partner in all things. To protect you and cherish you for as long as you'll allow. And if I wanted to become a vampire, eventually, I mean, is that something would you want that?" His expression intensifies. "Is that something you want?" "I don't know. Maybe. I've been thinking about it." She closes the book. "Marianne is going to live forever. I'd like to be around to see it. And I'd like to be with you if this works out. Really with you. Not just for a few decades before I age and die." Soren crosses the room and kneels beside her chair, taking her hands in his. "If you want to be turned, I would be honored to be the one to do it. But it's not a decision to make lightly. Take your time. Think about it. We have all the time in the world." "Do we?" She touches his face, tracing the sharp line of his jaw. "What if something happens? What if those rogues come back? They won't. I eliminated the entire nest. The threat is over." His hand covers hers, pressing it against his cheek. "You're safe, Celeste. I promise you." She believes him. She probably should have learned by now that promises mean nothing. But when Soren looks at her with those ancient, earnest eyes, she believes him. "I think I'm falling in love with you," she whispers. The words hang in the air for a moment. Then Soren pulls her out of the chair and into his arms, holding her like she's something infinitely precious. "I am absolutely in love with you," he says against her hair. "I have been since I saw you standing up to your landlord, terrified but defiant. You're extraordinary." She tilts her head back to look at him. "Kiss me." He does. His lips are cool against hers, but they warm quickly, and the kiss is gentle at first, exploratory. Then it deepens, becoming something more urgent, more real. Celeste's hands fist in his sweater, pulling him closer, and he makes a sound low in his throat that sends heat rushing through her. When they finally break apart, both of them are breathing hard. Well, she is. She's not entirely sure he needs to breathe. She can't find words. "Yes," he agrees, his voice rough. "It was." They stand there for a moment, wrapped in each other, and Celeste feels something settle in her chest. This is right. This impossible, crazy situation is somehow exactly right. Over the following weeks, their relationship deepens. They're careful, taking time to build trust and understanding. Soren is patient, never pushing her further than she's ready to go, but making it clear that he wants her, all of her, whenever she's ready. Celeste starts taking online classes, working toward the degree she always wanted. Soren helps her study, and she discovers he's an excellent tutor with centuries of knowledge to draw from. Marianne continues her training, and she's thriving, making friends among the vampire community and finding her place. Everything is perfect. Too perfect, Celeste thinks sometimes. She keeps waiting for the other shoe to drop. It does, but not in the way she expects. 2 months after they arrived at the estate, Soren asks her to accompany him to a formal event. A gathering of the vampire court, where he needs to make an appearance as king. "I want you at my side," he says. "I want everyone to see that you're mine, that you're important to me." "Will that cause problems?" Celeste asks. "Me being human?" "Some will object. They always do." His jaw tightens. "But I don't care. You're my choice, and they'll respect that, or they'll answer to me." The night of the event, Celeste is a bundle of nerves. Mrs. Thorne helps her get ready, lending her a dress that's absolutely stunning, midnight blue silk that hugs her curves and makes her feel like royalty. Someone does her hair and makeup, and when she looks in the mirror, she barely recognizes herself. "You look beautiful," Marianne says, appearing in the doorway. She's dressed for the event, too, in a black dress that makes her look sophisticated and dangerous. "I'm terrified," Celeste admits. "Don't be. Soren won't let anything happen to you, and neither will I." Marianne grins. It's kind of fun, being the scary vampire now. They go downstairs together, where Soren is waiting. He's in a full, formal suit, looking like he stepped out of another century, and when he sees Celeste, his expression transforms into something awestruck. "You're breathtaking," he says. "You clean up pretty well yourself." She takes his offered arm, feeling the strength in it. The event is at a mansion across the city, even larger than Soren's estate. The room is filled with vampires, all beautiful and dangerous, all watching as Soren enters with Celeste on his arm. The scrutiny is intense, dozens of eyes tracking their movement, and Celeste fights the urge to hide. Soren's hand covers hers on his arm, steadying. "Breathe," he murmurs. "You belong here. With me." He introduces her to vampire after vampire, and while some are welcoming, others are clearly skeptical. One woman, elegant and cold, looks Celeste up and down with disdain. "A human?" she says to Soren. "Really, Your Majesty. I expected better." "Then you'll be disappointed," Soren says coolly. "Lady Celeste is under my protection and has my favor. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me." The woman pales and backs away. Others who might have said something think better of it. As the evening progresses, Celeste starts to relax. Soren never leaves her side, his presence a constant comfort. He makes it clear through word and gesture that she matters, that she's not just some human he's amusing himself with, but someone genuinely important. Then, midway through the evening, a man approaches. He's handsome in a cruel way, with dark eyes and a smirk that makes Celeste's skin crawl. "Soren," he says, "I heard you'd taken up with a human. I had to see it for myself." "Lord Casimir," Soren's voice is frigid. "I don't recall inviting you." "It's an open court event. I have every right to be here." Casimir's eyes slide to Celeste. "Tell me, little human, what's it like warming the bed of a king? Does he pay you well for your services?" The insult lands like a slap. Around them, conversations stop. Everyone is watching. Celeste feels her face flame, humiliation rising hot and choking. But before she can respond, Soren moves. He's suddenly between her and Casimir, and there's nothing human in his expression. His eyes blaze silver, and the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. "You will apologize," Soren says, his voice deadly quiet, "or I will rip out your tongue and feed it to you." Casimir swallows hard, but he's too proud or too stupid to back down. "I only spoke the truth. She's human. What else could she be to you but a temporary amusement?" Soren's hand shoots out, gripping Casimir's throat. The man makes a choking sound, his feet actually leaving the floor as Soren lifts him effortlessly. "She is everything," Soren snarls. She is my intended, my partner, the one I have chosen above all others. She has more worth in her smallest finger than you have in your entire being. And if you ever speak to her that way again, I will end you so thoroughly that no one will remember your name. He releases Casimir, who stumbles back, gasping. The room is utterly silent. Soren turns to Celeste, and his expression softens instantly. Are you all right? She nods, still processing what just happened. He called her his intended, in front of everyone. He takes her hand and addresses the room. Let me be absolutely clear. Lady Celeste is mine. She is under my protection, and more than that, she has my heart. Any who question her place at my side question me. Any who insult her insult me. And I promise you, I will take such insults very personally. Then he lifts her hand to his lips and kisses it, and the gesture is so tender, so public that Celeste feels tears prick her eyes. The room erupts in whispers, but no one else challenges them. Casimir slinks away, and the evening continues, but everything has changed. Soren has claimed her, publicly and irrevocably. There's no taking it back now. Later, when they're in the car heading home, Celeste finally finds her voice. Did you mean it? What you said about me being your intended? Every word. He brings her hand to his lips again. I should have asked you first, made it official privately before announcing it. But when he insulted you, when he tried to demean you, I couldn't hold back. I'm sorry if I overstepped. You didn't. She shifts closer to him on the seat. I didn't realize you felt that strongly. Celeste. He cups her face in his hands. I am 300 years old. I have waited my entire immortal life for someone like you. I'm not letting you go. Not ever, if I can help it. I love you, she says. The words feel huge and terrifying, and absolutely right. I love you, he replies. More than I thought possible. They kiss, there in the back of the car, and it feels like a promise. A beginning. When they get home, Marianne is waiting up, bouncing with excitement. I heard what happened. The whole vampire community is talking about it. Soren totally declared you his intended in front of everyone. Do you know what that means? That we're together, Celeste guesses. It means you're basically vampire royalty now. It means you're going to be queen. Marianne squeals and hugs her. My sister, the vampire queen. Who would have thought? I'm not a vampire, Celeste points out. Yet, Soren says softly. If you want to be. She looks at him, at Marianne, at the beautiful house that's become home. She thinks about her old life, the struggle and fear and endless exhaustion. She thinks about this new life, full of love and safety and infinite possibility. Yes, she says. I want to be. I want forever with you. Soren's smile is radiant. Then you'll have it. We'll do it properly, with time to prepare, with your sister by your side. But yes, Celeste, I'll give you forever. 3 months later, on a cool autumn evening, Soren turns her. It's intimate and intense, nothing like the clinical process he used with Marianne. He holds her through the pain, whispers reassurances, and when she wakes, transformed, the first thing she sees is his face. Hello, my love, he says. Welcome to eternity. Her senses explode with new information. She can hear everything, smell everything, feel everything with an intensity that's almost overwhelming. But Soren is there, grounding her, and Marianne is there, laughing with joy, and Mrs. Thorne is there, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. Celeste sits up slowly, testing her new body. She feels strong, powerful, alive in a way she never imagined. This is amazing, she breathes. It gets better, Marianne promises. Wait until you try running. It's incredible. Over the following weeks, Celeste learns to be a vampire. Soren teaches her control and hunting and politics. She discovers she has a gift for diplomacy, for mediating disputes and finding common ground. She becomes a real partner to Soren, helping him manage his territory, earning the respect of vampires who initially dismissed her as a weak human. 6 months after her transformation, Soren organizes a formal ceremony. A bonding, the vampire equivalent of a wedding. It's held at the estate, with vampires coming from across the territory to witness. Celeste wears a dress of deep crimson, and Soren wears traditional formal attire, and they exchange vows in front of everyone. "I promise to stand with you," Celeste says, her voice strong and clear, "to support you, to challenge you, to love you for as long as we both exist. You saved me, but more than that, you saw me. You made me believe I was worth saving. I will spend eternity proving you right." Soren's eyes shine with unshed tears. "I promise to cherish you, to protect you, to love you with everything I am. You are my greatest treasure, my perfect match, my home. I was alone for 3 centuries, and I would gladly endure 3 centuries more if it meant finding you at the end. You are my heart, Celeste, now and always." They seal the bond with a kiss, and the assembled vampires cheer. Even the ones who initially objected have come around, won over by Celeste's strength and grace. She's not just the king's consort. She's a queen in her own right. Afterward, at the reception, Celeste stands with Soren and looks around at the gathered crowd. Marianne is laughing with a group of young vampires, fully integrated into their world. Mrs. Thorne is directing the staff with her usual efficiency, and Soren is at her side, his hand in hers, solid and real. "Are you happy?" he asks softly. She thinks about the scared woman who stood in her apartment doorway, begging for more time. She thinks about the exhausted waitress who barely recognized herself in the mirror. She thinks about how far she's come, how much she's changed. "I'm more than happy," she says. "I'm home." He pulls her close, and they stand there together, king and queen, partners in every sense of the word. The future stretches out before them, infinite and full of possibility. "Thank you," Soren whispers into her hair. "For what?" "For trusting me that night, for taking a chance on an impossible story, for choosing me." Celeste pulls back to look at him, this powerful ancient being who saw worth in a struggling waitress. "Thank you for seeing me when everyone else looked right through. Thank you for giving me forever." They kiss as the stars come out overhead, surrounded by friends and family, and Celeste knows with absolute certainty that she made the right choice. This life, this love, this strange and wonderful forever, it's everything she never knew she needed, and it's just the beginning.